I am a systems engineer, and I say that because I work for Booz Allen Hamilton. It's a consulting firm. We go out and we sit on site and we try to help our customers improve whatever their systems will be. I'm currently working with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and they're the folks, they've kind of been more in the news but more under the radar. When we got Osama bin Laden, they did all the geospatial information, where on the ground, you know, how it looks, cloud cover, everything. That's NGA. Booz Allen Hamilton, just to give a little insight, has been kind of big in the news, and I would encourage you to look up Booz Allen Hamilton. They're #1 for minorities in the country. They've been #1 for working women for several years, and they have what a lot of people call affinity groups, areas depending on African Americans, Hispanics. They bring you together a lot of time in the area of interest that you have, if it's technical or whatever. I've been at Booz for 2 years, and I'm also in several professional organizations. The International Council of Systems Engineers, they're the professional organization that they present and give out certifications for systems engineers. There's another organization called the Project Management area, and they give out certifications, so it's kind of your best level of, you know, you're the premier in whatever. It's an international, worldwide organization. In addition, I'm in the National Society of Black Engineers, and I like the outreach there for their collegiate and pre-college programs. And if you're interested in being an engineer, I would definitely encourage you to look up Booz Allen, NSBE, and COSI, or any of those organizations. So basically, to know me, I have a few passions on the side, and it's because I started more from the IT side, information technology. So I want to talk a little bit about my life, some of the challenges. Upon high school graduation, I was a good student. I would say I was an A-B student, and I had a strong desire to major in engineering, but that's not how I came into engineering. When I decided to do my matriculation at Virginia Tech, my high school counselor would not sign my forms for me to go to Virginia Tech. Maybe it was the color of my skin. I'm thinking that's what it was, because I didn't look like my class, which was mostly Caucasian. So my parents had to intervene, take off from work, go to school, and inform him that he did not have the ability to make that decision in my life. And I would encourage you parents, if you come into those type of situations, take hold of it quickly, because that's what my mother did. She actually worked for Arlington County as a school nurse aide, so she wasn't afraid at any time. She was at every PTA meeting. So the first thing I want to talk about are challenges like that. Someone's trying to change my career path. It's not the one I want, but how you can still make a difference, because it's definitely not about you know, letting that be as willy-jolly a setback for a comeback. You can still overcome it. But for me, it left me kind of, you know, what do I do? Maybe I'm really not that good at engineering. And then when I got to college and I'm ready to get into the School of Engineering, a second advisor at the college rerouted me out of engineering again and told me he didn't think I would succeed there. So I ended up kind of being a little lost and feeling overwhelmed, and I majored in communications. Not a bad field, but you know, it wasn't my passion, and it wasn't where I know God wanted me to be. And after I finished Virginia Tech, and I was very active at Virginia Tech, let me say, I worked at Howard, at WHUR doing my internships. I was making the best of everything to try to succeed in the area of broadcast communications. I DJ'd in college. I think that's where I got my love of music and everything. And I crafted several award-winning commercials for different organizations. And upon graduation, I even worked for the county broadcast company, and I do weekly shows and operate the soundboards and everything. But the second point I want to say is, wherever you are positioned in life, perform your best, because God has a plan, and it's always better than what you can envision. I'm not an engineer. I can't find a job in communications, which was very difficult, so I went to work for the MITRE Corporation, and I came in as an administrative secretary because I didn't really have any skills at the time. And I ended up migrating into what's called the help desk, where you take all the calls on the phone, someone's having a problem. I didn't get there right away because my first job, because I didn't have experience, was just passing out the technical books. But again, during the day, whatever the hot book of the day was, I started reading it and taking all the information in. So I would say, reading, learning is a lifetime event. You can never stop doing that. And while taking advantage of all this reading, I got promoted to the help desk staff. So then I could take the calls. And it was a great job because 4 hours a day, you actually took calls on the phone, which you were really crazy trying to answer everybody's technical need. But 4 hours a day, you just studied. And then about once a week, I would do training in the center. And I had an excellent manager, and I call this, you know, God's intervention, because he actually saw in me the ability more than what I saw, and he ended up funding my master's degree. So I finished my master's degree in Management Information Systems at American University here in DC, completely funded, no loans. In fact, coming out of Virginia Tech, I had such hard-working parents who worked 2 jobs each. I didn't have any loans then either, except for I think maybe $100, and I waited a month to pay that. I don't know why. And you know, I was just about finished with my master's program. I'm excited, didn't expend any of my money, thought life is good, I know where I want to go. At this time I wanted to become what's called a systems analyst, so I was defining kind of at the upfront level, what should the system do and how should it do it and things like that. And one of my classmates pulled me aside and said that she really liked the way my papers looked and I should come work for her company. So I did, and at first I wasn't sure, but again, God's got a better plan. Went over there, 4 classes left. I ended up having all my schoolwork paid, all the books paid for that I wasn't doing, and taking my classes by just going downstairs in the building. So that's how I completed my master's degree. And that was a good job for several years, but you know, things happen, and you know, now I have my master's, I'm like, that salary didn't get raised. Something's not looking right, you know? And again, that's another challenge, and maybe it's a, you know, minority concern. We always, women, I'm not sure. And I'm complaining at home, and my mom's like, well, you should get another job. I'm like, well, I'm not sure. Well, one day, a clown came to her school. That's right, a clown came to her school, and the kids were asking him what he did. And he proceeded to say that he worked for the CIA. But you know, he made a lot more money than I was making, and that triggered my mom to go talk to him closer. So he told her that actually the clown business was kicking off so well that he needed to leave the CIA as a contractor and just have me call him, because he was ready to get rid of his job. And I did. And it was the type of job that actually I didn't have at the time what you need is a clearance to work for the intelligence community, the 3-letter agencies that no one wants to talk about. And they actually hired me for one day, put me on leave without pay, and they wait for your clearance to come through. So I got to keep my current job, wait for the other part, and when I finally got my clearance, then I got to renegotiate another salary a year later. So that's how I ended up moving into the contracting arena with what's called the clearance. And in this area, that's pretty important because you make $20,000 to $30,000 more by having a clearance, doing the same thing if you didn't. I ended up working for the CIA, getting the clown's job, who knew that, you know, a year later as a system and network manager. And I actually built the systems from the ground up. And I can say it was probably the most intense job, maybe my second worst job as far as time. That's because the technology wasn't there. The system was so slow. It's not like our iPhones and stuff today. And I would actually stay at work through the weekend, like literally Friday to Sunday if we had to upgrade the system. But you know what? All that reading kicked in, and I was ready to do what I had to do. And I ended up staying there for over 5 years. And then one of the chief engineers sort of came to me and told me he was starting a business and put his card on my desk and said if I ever wanted to talk. And I said, no, don't need to talk. I'm now working on my doctorate. They're paying for it. Life is good. Well, life sort of changed because they stopped paying for my education. So then it was coming out of my pocket. I was like, the paradigm changed. What's going to happen now? And it didn't look good. So we need to think about making life changes and moves, but first consult God. You know, wait to hear from God, I think is most important. Don't be afraid to progress in another way if God confirms it. And I did that, and I actually asked God for 3 things, and I think it was really clear in my mind. I liked working for the CIA, that was one, wanted to stay there. I liked my commute, 10 minutes, 15, that was important, and I need money for school. That was the 3rd one. So I called up the chief engineer, and he literally took me on an interview, and during that interview, within the next hour, I had a new job. I had 100% of my education paid at George Washington University, which is not cheap, and he asked me to stay on site where I was actually already working. So that was my confirmation. The 3 things I really needed happened for me. Over the years, we've been best of friends for over 20 years, and we just stay in touch. And I want to say that God places special people in your life in the path to aid you and help you, and to acknowledge and take advantage of those opportunities. Sometimes things look like a risk, but you know, sometimes you got to go with it. And if God confirms it, even if it's hard, it's going to be okay. That's school, that's teachers, that's anything. So I say, I've learned even that enemies pushing you can propel you to another level. I've been pushed out of jobs, I can say that now. I was crying almost going to the door. But now I'm at Booz Allen, and it's like a better experience for me. So I'm kind of glad of the crazy job that my old boss pushed me out of. I ended up completing my doctoral studies at GW, but again, going back to that, not without challenges. Great student, my life is going well, and all of a sudden, at my oral defense, which I thought was a wonderful presentation, I was taken aside in the room and said, "You were spectacular, however, we need to rewrite the entire 150-page paper, because it's not right." Those are one of those challenging moments in life, and for me, I don't think I did that well, because I couldn't write for a while, because I was just 6 years had gone by, and I was on a 7-year program part-time, working full-time to get out of school. But, you know, life has its impasses, and as Willie Jolly says, it's a setup for a comeback, so I had to come back somehow. I had a praying mother, and she pulled me aside about 2 months later, and she said, "Every day, how's that paper going?" I was like, "I can't write. I don't know what happened." And, you know, they just busted my bubble, and I don't know what to do. She said, "Let's pray." And through that prayer, I was able to write again. I completed my 170-page paper the 2nd time, as I've had a lot of great mentors and folks in my life that have helped me, because you can't do it alone. It could be your parents, somebody you meet, an aunt, an uncle, whatever. But that's how I've made it in engineering. My first love now, which was always there, but my path was rerouted a little bit. But like I said, God has divine encounters that only come from God. And then the last one I had over a year ago. I was on a telecon at work, and I heard a man speaking who he said he was the lead engineer for the company, and I thought, but he's not talking about engineering stuff. This is very different for an engineer. He was just talking about people and things and how we need to do better on working with people. So I went to see him. And his name was John Thomas. He was the senior VP at Booz. And out of that meeting, within 45 minutes, I was asked to come and work with him. He is also the president of INCOSI, the International Council of Systems Engineering I was telling you about. I am now designing their new system and leaving in July to deliver the system in Rome, Italy for a conference there. So preparation does meet opportunity. You need to learn from your mentors or be a mentor. I am a mentor for several people, and I think mentors help you, as some people have told me, when you're driving and you can, you know, look in your front mirror and look in your rear mirror, they help you see the side view mirrors. You know, what's going on, what could you strengthen, what could you improve about yourself. I think that's the role of a mentor. As I say, I always study, I read. You can find me online pretty much any morning between 4:30 and 5, and I'll start generating emails. It's not for everybody, I'm telling you. So if you're an 11 o'clock person, maybe that's your time, but I'm a 4:30 to 5 person, because I like to go work out. You need to spend your time reading, try to always connect check and stay attuned so that you're hearing from God. And one of my favorite quotes that I always have on my signature block is, "The road to success is always under construction." And I heard that from Steve Harvey. And I think that personally for me defines life and the way things can go. You may not always have a straight path. You may want to be an engineer, and I think that's great. And your path may be a little different. Maybe you'll get right into engineering school, but that wasn't mine. So thank you for your time.
All of the speakers here today, I can assure you, have interesting, compelling stories also to actually tell you. My route to where I am now was very straightforward, very straightforward. Maybe because I didn't have much to do as a kid, and it was exactly at your age. When I was a junior in high school, I had always been very, very curious about everything around me. And I was in a biology class just at your age, when I was 16 years old. And we had all these experiments to do. One of them was to look, and I'm sure everybody was taking biology in high school, was to look at the cross-section of the onion leaf. The onion leaf. I'm sure everybody was taking. When you look, you see the onion, the leaves, you cut it and put it under a microscope and look at it. And I was just mesmerized at the geometry, the precision of everything under that, in that leaf. Keep in mind that when you're a junior, you've taken geometry, trigonometry, so you know all of the shapes and all that. And to just look at every shape in your geometry class is all represented under this microscope with the onion leaf. And I said to myself, well, this is not an accident, and it's also in terms of my faith. Not that I'm much of a very serious religious person. Said to me that there must be God, and there must be a force that's behind this precision. The reason why I'm saying that is that 2 years before that, in my neighborhood, we had a guy, a young man, but you know, I was 16, so he probably was 23. He was much older. And he went around every evening. He had a book, and he walked around the neighborhood, and everybody would say to each other, please don't ask him any questions about God, otherwise he would disprove that God does not exist. So we all said, no, so you better don't ask him any questions, because he had all the proof. And so here am I'm looking at this. I said, wow, I wonder what he has in his book to disprove that God doesn't exist. And whereas I'm looking at this, and it's saying to me that God does exist, God must have created this. At the same time, we also had another class, you know, part of this biology class, in which we had to get the frogs. And my school was, there's a stream that ran behind the school. And we can catch frogs. We play little tricks with the frogs and all that. And when the frogs have their eggs, you squeeze the eggs out of the frogs. And you observe them over time. You change the water, the saline, the salt water, and you change it over time, and you observe, and you cut them. And see how, first of all, then you also squeeze the sperm out of the male frog, they fertilize, you watch the embryo, the zygote, divide into 2, divide into 4, divide into multiple cells and all that. And all that precision and all that timing of development was just overwhelming for me. And I got very curious, because before then, I was very good at science. I was also very good in the classics. And knowing, I should mention to you that I was born and grew up in Nigeria, so I'm from Nigeria. And our educational system is slightly different. We spend more time with the hard stuff in high school than in college. When you go to college, to university, you go socialize. And so find a fiancé or or whatever, but most of your studying is usually in high school. So I could recite the epic of Homer, the fall of Trojan horse and all that in Latin for you. That's how. So in terms of how we studied in classes. So for me, I was destined or thought in my head that I'd love to be a lawyer because I could quote. If you are familiar with the British system, when you go to court, it's like a theater, a drama. The lawyers come with their wigs and all that, and everybody quotes Latin and stuff like that. So that's what I was looking forward to. I went to college, and I went to undergrad at University of Minnesota, and I was so sure that I was going to do that, except in my freshman class, my teaching assistant in my English class did not have to read the Shakespeare out of the books. So I decided to major in chemistry, not because it was anything different, because of my brother-in-law. And my brother-in-law was a chemist, and he had an impressive title, an agricultural chemist. So then I took a course in microbiology from an old man by the name of Franklin Wallace. And he had traveled all over the world. And he had the slice of everything that was wrong with the human body, with diseases, infectious diseases, in China, anyway. And I was just mesmerized. And I said, wow, for every slide that he showed, I could relate to it. Said, back home, Nigeria, I knew somebody who had this, I knew somebody who had tuberculosis, I knew somebody blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I sold on that. So I decided to change course, and then decided to look into the health sciences. Well, of course, I went on to get a PhD and all that, and went on to work at the National Institute of Health at NIH, and did a lot of things and worked with the World Health Organization and all that. Again, just like Dr. Haskell said, that learning is a lifelong. Then I hit a roadblock, because at the World Health Organization, you are all familiar that the World Health Organization does health issues all over the world. Then I applied for a job, and then I realized during that interview that I must have a public health degree, otherwise I would be a technical officer. I could never be a manager. And so I decided that, if I ever go by the corner of any public school of public health, I will get a public health degree. You don't have to graduate from college before you start thinking about what you need to do, whether it's in engineering, medicine, and all that. You must ask for help. If you didn't ask for help, you already failed. You already failed. So there's no pride in failing. So all of us need help, all of us. As I was coming up, I have mentors, just like Dr. Haskell said to you. I have mentors who helped me all along, that I could go back and said, well, look, this is what you need to do, and that's what you need to do. So we all do that. And that's why all of us who are here today, who are speakers, have volunteered to be your mentors, so to be your resources. And but you must do your part. You must, in terms of how you go to college, how you apply, and your parents and your counselors and Nicholas will take care of that for you. But whatever you do, you must do it well. You must do it with pride and distinction. And in order to do that, you must work hard. There's no substitute for hard work, and it pays. So that's all I have to tell you.
I've had the pleasure of working with Nicholas on a couple of committees. I know he has a real passion for this, and it's my pleasure to work with him. And thank you, students, for showing up today, because I'll tell you, it's the end of a long week, and it's a beautiful day outside. And while it's been 35 years for me, I'm telling you, I'm a little challenged to remember on a Sunday that I would want to do this. So you guys should be commended. Thank you very much. I'm just take a few minutes to talk about a few things, and put up some of the notes. Nicholas gave us some a couple of points I want to make sure we touched on. I want to make sure I do that. So anyway, Nicholas said, my name is Mark Moore. I am a local businessman. Someone recently, I was in a meeting just the other day, and the person referred to me as a serial entrepreneur. And I kind of laughed when he said that. I'm like, a serial entrepreneur? He goes, you do startups all the time, man. Actually, over the past 30 years, actually, he's right. I've been fortunate enough. I've created 3 different companies over the years. I've done IPO and sold 3 different companies and had the pleasure of raising about $2 billion. I am a product of New York City, of the New York City public school system too at that. Private schools are good, Catholic schools are good, but you can get a fine education even in the public system, and I grew up in the public system in New York City. Wonderful, again, I had wonderful parents. We talked about wonderful brothers and sisters too. Came from a family of 10. My parents had 8 children, and we were all very, very close. And I was a benefit of that because not only did I have 2 wonderful parents that gave me guidance, I had 6 older brothers and sisters that looked out for me and made sure I did not go astray. And I worked very hard in school, and I would tell you, as you guys probably have done, it's important to work hard in school. And I'll tie that into my career in 1 second. When I went to school, as Dr. Haskins, I was a good student. Probably I would consider that, kind of a student, and did very well. And one of the subjects I always did very well in was math. It just came easy to me. I don't know why. Just one of those God-given talents. If you put numbers in front of me, I could see. I saw the correlation. It came very easily to me. So I did very well in math. And as I went through school, when I got to actually started even in grade school. And when I got to middle school, they looked at me and they said, "Hey, you know what? You have a talent. We're going to put you in this program. And like if you do well in the 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you'll skip the 9th grade." Now, I'll be honest with you, when you're in the 6th grade, you don't really think too much about that, right? Because I know I didn't. And I'm like, okay, whatever, right? I just went ahead and, I worked hard in school, and I worked hard in school because, 1, I had some pride, and I wanted to, and 2, and quite honestly, because my parents were very strict, and if I didn't, they would have taken it to me for sure, I can tell you that, no doubt about it. So I'm like, okay, so I worked hard. When I got to the 8th grade, they walked up to me and they said, "Hey, you know what? You've done quite well. You're going to skip the 9th grade." And I'll be honest with you, I completely forgotten about it, right? I'm like, what? They're like, you don't get to go to 9th grade. Well, think about it when you're that age. That was pretty cool, right? I'm like, no 9th grade? I'm like, yeah. I went right from the 8th to the 10th. But the real beauty of that wasn't so much going from the 8th to the 10th. The beauty was when I got to high school, because I was in the accelerated program, I was able to take all my courses a lot earlier, and by the time I got to the 12th grade, I had completed all of my math requirements. So I'm sitting with my guidance counselor, and the counselor goes, "Hey, what do you want to take?" And I'm like, "What do you mean what do I want to take?" He goes, "You complete all your math requirements." And I'm like, "So what are my choices?" He goes, "You could take an elective," and one was accounting. And I'm like, "Well, accounting's math, I'll take accounting." So I took this accounting class in the 12th grade, did very well, and turned out, I loved accounting. I'm like, you know what, this comes easy to me. And at that point, I decided, you know what, I think I'll become an accountant. So it's funny how life takes these paths. As Dr. Haskins said, you know what, I got there really quite by accident because I did well and math came easy to me. And because of this accelerated program, I then had the ability to really get introduced to accounting. And because of that, I did decide, you know what, I think I'll be an accountant. Went off to the University of Buffalo, got my bachelor's degree in accounting, and was recruited off campus to work for Arthur Andersen, which is a public accounting firm. Worked for them as a CPA, got my certification in public accounting, and then went on to grad school and got a master's in finance from St. John's University. But over the years, I've been able to do all these things, and it all started really, to be honest with you, and as the speakers prior to my coming up here said, it's important to work hard. And I know sometimes, we lose sight of those things, but it's very, very important. Even at a young age, at an early age, it's not too early. Don't let people tell you, hey, don't worry about it. Why study hard now? It won't make any difference now. It makes a difference. And I'll be honest with you, it started in grade school. It made a difference. It made a difference in grade school. It made a difference in middle school. It made a difference in high school. It makes a difference. Don't let anyone tell you other than that. As I said, I was very, very fortunate. Worked at Arthur Andersen, left Arthur Andersen, got my master's in finance, and started doing these startup companies, taking them public, selling them, and we've done very well over the past 30 years until I sit here today. But as I think about some of the things Nicholas wants to touch on, as you go through school, for me, I went to math. I would tell you, you had 2 speakers in front of me that was in obviously doctors. And I would tell you, don't be shy. Nicholas, one of the things he asked me to talk about was programs that you should look at. I would say any program you should look at. But the one thing I would tell you, Don't be afraid of math and sciences. A lot of students will shy away from math and sciences because it's hard, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with something being hard. You know, it's okay, because if it's hard and you succeed, then I tell you, you will feel wonderful. It's a wonderful accomplishment. Do not, and I stress again, math, sciences, English, a lot of minority students will shy away from those. I will tell you, do not shy away from them. One of the things it will do, if you focus on math, sciences, and English, it will open a whole door for you. I'm telling you, you will have everything at your doorstep. You can do whatever you want. And trust me, you can. And nothing is, you can achieve whatever you want. As I told you, I came from New York City, in Jamaica, Queens, and as my wife likes to say, it's the ghetto. And folks in there, they don't get here. But I will tell you, you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do. And it's a matter of, one, having mentors and having some guidance and having people willing to support you, and then you're working hard. And the one thing I will tell you is, I listened to the doctor, you know, don't be afraid to take on risk. I will tell you, while I've had some success in my life, you know, you can't get success without failure, and I'll tell you. And the reason you fail is because that means you're trying. And unless you try, you're not going to fail. So don't feel bad because you may fail, because you are going to fail. In life, there are going to be obstacles in life. They're going to come up. The issue isn't the obstacle, it's how you deal with the obstacle. And one of the things, as I've talked to people before, I've read books over the years, and the one thing I'll leave you with is, I read one book and he talked about the 3 F's. And in life, always lean on your 3 F's. Your faith, your family, and your friends. And as I've gone through my career, I absolutely lean on my faith every turn, whether it was my career, whether it was my personal life, whether it was medical mishaps. You know, lean on your faith. Faith works, prayer works, absolutely. Family. I've been very, very fortunate. I told you I had two wonderful parents and 7 wonderful brothers and sisters, and a wonderful wife that supported me along the way. And I can tell you, I would not be sitting here today without their support. I can absolutely tell you that. So as you go through, remember, and I think Dr. Haskins said, you don't do anything alone. I didn't get here alone, right? I got here with a lot of help of a lot of wonderful people along the way. And I tell you, you can do it too. You can absolutely do it. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to sit here today and see young people here who are really interested in a career. And when I was in high school, it seemed like, you know, everything was very important in high school, right? But the fact of the matter, if you think about it, right, the greatest impact you will probably make in your life will be after high school, right? The fact of the matter is, up to high school is just the foundation. And that's everything. We know we need a foundation for everything. So what you're doing right now is creating a foundation. But realize your greatest impact in life, it's going to be after this, okay? Whether it's in your, and again, while we sit there talking about college, the reality is, you know, not everybody, Nicholas, I have this discussion, not everyone is college material. And that's not a bad thing, right? You know, and it's okay. And if everyone here is interested in college, that's wonderful. I'm a big believer in education in college, and I love it. But I'm also honest enough to know that, you know what, that doesn't work for everyone. And not everyone is college material, and that's okay. But college is wonderful. It's given me a wonderful groundwork, framework. The fact of the matter is, what it's done for me is allowed me to, really, it's more reasoning than anything else. Because people say, what has it done for you? Well, it's allowed me to reason. It allows me to take things and hopefully look at it in a concise and reasonable fashion and be able to use a thought process. And that's what it does. It really forms the brain. So for you guys, you know, trust me, you'll get a wonderful benefit from it. Now, I'll also tell you, as you prepare to college, understand there's a big difference between high school and college. There's 2 acronyms I use, the 3 F's, faith, family, friends. The other one I always use is PhD. It stands for, it's not just a PhD, but really, it's a PhD, but it stands for patience, hard work, and discipline as well. So as you go on in life, remember, patience, be patient. Understand that nothing comes overnight. It takes time, right? And it's okay, take your time, be patient, you will get there. Hard work, we had 2 speakers ahead of us, they talked about, there's no substitute for hard work, I will tell you that right now, okay? And along the lines of hard work, it's important, one of the things I've learned over the years is people say, don't lie to yourself, right? Don't, you know, because when you lie to yourself, the only person really, sometimes we lie and we think we're lying to the people around us, but what we're really doing is we're lying to ourselves. And what it really does, it prevents you from getting to the next level, from working hard. Because if you say it enough, you start to believe it. And if you start to believe it, then you won't work hard to get to the next level. So it's important that we be honest with ourselves. Be honest with yourselves, right? And that's important in life. And the last thing is the D, discipline. have discipline. Don't, it's funny, as I listened to Dr. Haskins, she talked about security clearance. I have a top secret security clearance, and we've hired several people in my company that have security clearances. But some people can't get a security clearance because they've done things in their prior life that prevents them. And at the time, they didn't think anything of it. Well, that's the lack of discipline, right? Be disciplined. It's okay. It's sometimes, doing the right thing can be very, very unorthodox, and that's okay. As most of my life has been unorthodox, and I'll tell people when I went to school, people are like, why you work hard, why are you doing this, you're not going to go any place. Remember, I'm from Jamaica, Queens, I was from the ghetto, right? So guys like me aren't supposed to be sitting here today, right? But, I didn't pay any attention to that. One, initially, because my parents told me don't pay attention to that, and that was good enough for me. And as I got older and I got smart enough to realize, you know what, that's not important to me, and that's when the discipline kicked in. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to try to do the right thing, which is what my parents told me and what I know my God will want me to do. And I say that's important as you guys go on in life. And make sure I touched on all the points. Mentoring. I've had many mentors over my life, both black and white. And again, as I went through schooling, I had a lot of teachers, even in Jamaica, Queens, that told me, hey, you're different, you're special, work hard, you can achieve something. And you know what? I was just young enough and naive enough, I believed them, right? As they told me, I'm like, you know what? I believe them. I think they knew what they're talking about. So I didn't listen to anything else. I worked hard and I tried to achieve. And I've been very, very blessed and fortunate. God has opened many doors for me along the way, given me many opportunities, and the opportunities are there, right? And once the opportunity is there, you just try to take advantage of it. And it's very similar as I told people, I've started 3 different companies, and all we're trying to do is take advantage of the opportunity. You start the company, and hopefully the opportunity presents itself, and you'll take advantage of it. And it's the same thing in life, between your hard work and your belief in your faith, God will give you opportunities, and it's up to you to take advantage of it. But it's important, as she said earlier, to work hard. Don't take any day for granted. I like to relate this to business. In the business world, we do startups. People ask me why we work so hard. And when you're doing a startup, and my company's not as big as Booz Allen Hamilton, right? we're considerably smaller than Booz Allen Hamilton. So when our opportunity presents itself, we've got to be ready, right? And it's the same thing in life. When the opportunity presents itself, you want to be ready because you may not get another chance. So it's important to take each day for what it's worth, right? And understand that each day is important. And as you do something, remember, you're putting your name on that, right? Every time you do something, you're writing Mark Moore, right? It's your signature block, right? You're telling someone, that's who I am, and just keep that in mind as you do it. And I think if you take that approach, I think you'll work hard and you will apply yourself and you'll do well. And that's important in whatever you do, anything you do, right? How you dress, how you look, right? You're telling people, this is me, and it's important, right? So just keep that in mind as you go through life. But thank you all for coming. We got a lot of speakers. I'm not going to take much time. Nicholas, thank you, sir. I'm
from Detroit. Single parent, mother, absentee father. The path I went, and I'm going to teach you, and hopefully young students will learn that there are struggles, but not to give up. My life is one of not giving up. And basically, when I was in elementary school, coming home, kids threw rocks at me. My parents, the teachers it was predominantly a white school. My mother had to go because they tried to flunk me out when I was getting A's. She fought and corrected it. From junior high to high school, my counselor told me I was not college material. So you just be a painter and so forth. Didn't want to hear that. Well, when I was 15 years old, still in high school, my mother tells me that, because I have only one other, have a sister, she says to me that she's working hard, she was a receptionist, that she didn't have money for both of us to go to college, and my sister was older, so she said to me that she was going to have to, she could pay for my sister to go to college, and she went to Howard, by the way, but there was no money for me to go to college. And I said, that's not going to happen to me. So I started work full-time, when school full-time, worked at night, paid my way through, got my money to go to, didn't get a scholarship, but I got enough money to go to college, worked hard, still at night, school all day, working at night, all kinds of jobs. Was accepted in the University of Michigan Medical School. Didn't have money, so I stayed in the projects. And I mean projects, I mean all I had was a cot to sleep on, and I put my clothes in egg crates. That's how poor I was. But I was determined to be a doctor. One thing though at University of Michigan, I didn't know, this is back in the 70s, they had a policy against Afro-Americans graduating. They had a policy, the government, where they gave the schools grants to accept kids, but they didn't want you to finish. So there's 200 graduates, 200 students in our freshman medical school. 10% were Afro-American, so 20 of us, okay? The first year, we noticed that there were some discrepancies going on as far as the kids were getting, non-blacks were getting some advantages. And so I went to Dean and questioned why we were not being given the same kinds of papers and some, say, tutorials that the white kids were being given. And I was told by the only Afro-American professor afterwards that I better be quiet. I'm uncovering some things that they don't want. And I'm ruffling the feathers, and that they were going to go after me. Well, I then became quite paranoid, so I started studying extra hard, and I noticed there was 20 of us, then ended up being 15 of us, then ended up being 10 of us. They're flunking out the blacks left and right. I met a young man back then who was Afro-American, who befriended me. I'm observing him one day in a class, a big auditorium, and I'm sitting in the front with my tape recorder, my cliff notes, and doing everything, and he's in the back with his arms like this, no paper, no pen, not writing anything at all. And he's black. And I said, wait a minute, something's wrong here. So I go to meet him. I said, well, how can you do this? You just, are you in this class, are you just auditing or what? I said, no, I don't need to write anything or take notes because I've got it all here. I said, medical school is difficult. Anyway, I told him what I was experiencing, and that half our class had already flunked out, and I didn't want to flunk out. And I'm up all night studying. He said, well, I said, Roy, if you like, come over with me and we can stay together. Well, in the second year, we were the last two in the school, blacks. All 18 had flunked out. The two of us remaining, okay? That one black professor who told me that I was ruffling feathers came to me and says, Roy, they don't know how you survived this, but you better get out of this school, because in the third year is no longer academics. You're on the hospital grounds, wards, and they're going to decide whether you pass or fail. So I went to the dean, asked for my transcript, and they wouldn't give it to me. He said, oh, you're not getting out of here. We're going to make sure that we're going to see you in the third year. So I went down to Meharry, applied. They asked for my transcript. I said, I can't give them a transcript. They said, we're not going to accept you. So I told them my story, that I can't get it. They won't give it to me. Anyway, long story short, I get to the point is that he called the dean because he couldn't believe the story that I'd said. So outrageous. And that dean told him that I was like on a 10 most wanted list. I was the worst character in the world. So he asked the dean, all right, so you don't like the guy. Send me his transcript. I'm not giving it to you either. Dean to dean. So that dean from Meharry called me and says, Dr. Henry, come on down here. I'm going to accept you without a transcript. Because he now realized there was pure racism at the University of Michigan. And they wanted to just get rid of all of us. Anyway, I graduated at Meharry at honors, went on to Howard. That young man who helped me, Ben Carson. Anyone know who Ben Carson is? The man is genius, more so than anyone ever realized. Anyway, so going fast forward. Howard, my residency, I then decided to go to start my practice in Northern Virginia, 1980. I go to Alexandria Hospital and apply for privileges. They said, you're not what we're looking for. I said, what do you mean? We're not what you're looking for. So I told him, I said, well, I hope there's no one on your staff that has the same credentials or less, because if you are, I'm going to sue you, I'm going to close you down. That's pure racism. So when he realized that I had the back end NAACP behind me, I got in. Became the first black to get privileges in Northern Virginia, and I then contacted Howard and said, let's open the door. We're not going to let this happen. There are now 180 blacks practicing in Northern Virginia. But I set the pathway back in 1980 for them to do it. So I finished my practice, became very successful, and then I decided that I wanted to do something to give back, because I didn't have it. So I formed DC Metro Carson Scholarship. Last year, ever since last year, we did our Carson Reading Room. Young kids, reading and scholarship is so important. It's my life passion. Do not give up. The road is rough, but if you stay strong, God will be with you. Last year at this time, last May, I was blind. They had zero chance. I had a detached retina. And if they don't get it within 24 hours, the success rate is diminished. After 48 hours, there's like 10% chance you haven't been able to see. They got me over 100 hours afterwards. So the doctor didn't know it was attached at the time, so he thought it was just a retinal tear. So they gave me anesthesia for about an hour at Fair Oaks Hospital. I wake up in the middle of the operation while he's cutting in my eye. That was last May. And the doctor, because I screamed, I'm in pain. And he says, you're awake? I said, yes. He says, Dr. Heron, I've got two things I got to tell you, and you got to make a decision on it. And I'm in the operating room at Fair Oaks Hospital. I'm not in any kind of mood of bartering. He says, well, I can't give you any more anesthesia. And if I stop the operation, you'll be blind permanently. And if I continue, I've got 2 more hours. And if you move, you're going to be blind. No kind of choice is that. I'm at the cutting in my eyeball. So I said, give me just 5 minutes. And they gave me 5 minutes, and I made a prayer and asked the Lord to take over my body. Help me. And in 5 minutes, I said, you can proceed, I will not move. I was in the operating room for 2 hours, hearing, seeing, everything I did, didn't squinch. I had no pain at all. That's the power of the Lord. And that was last year, last May this time. It's not my time to check out yet. So you're going to have struggles, young kids. Don't give up. The faith of the Lord will be and carry you through. If you can't think you overcome it, put it in the Lord's hands. And I'm telling you, I'm a living proof of what it would do. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'll try to be brief. There's been so many things that's been going on in my head, listening to all the speakers and seeing young people here. This is my 28th year as an educator. Never really knew what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something. My father always told me that either you want to work with things or you want to work with people. And I always knew I wanted to work with people. I just really didn't want to, I didn't know what to do. Thought I wanted to be a doctor, realized I didn't like blood. So that was, you know, sort of that. My path was curvy, not really straight, not very crooked. I took advantage of opportunities that were given to me. A lot of where I am right now is because of networking and mentoring. People that I've mentored and people that have taken the time to mentor me. I am where I am because of life circumstances. And so what I will tell you is similar to what you've heard earlier. Don't let things stand in your way. You have to pursue your passion. You have to prepare, because your preparation will lead to choices. And as long as you have choices, you're going to be just fine. College is not for everybody. But I will tell you that everything that I've read and everything that I've seen says that you will do better as far as, you know, salary-wise, if that's important to you. You will do better if you have a high school education. You will do even better if you have an associate's. You will do better than that if you have your bachelor's, better than that if you have your master's, and better than that if you have your PhD. You have to prepare. It's never too early to prepare. Please pursue your passion, whatever that is. Be it in an after-school program that you can help pursue it, or meaningful summers can help you pursue it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I'm sure that you have people in your lives that are more than willing and happy to help you along the way. As I said, I have been mentored and I enjoy mentoring. I have worked in a lot of different schools. New York City Board of Education, and I've worked in private schools where tuition is $30,000 a year, kindergarten through 12th grade each year. I've worked at joint security complexes where I've seen young people who've made mistakes try then to right their wrong. And with each of them, I say that you have to prepare, because preparation leads to choices. And as long as you have choice, you'll be just fine. There are lots of opportunities and careers that exist for you. There is the military, but you're not going there. There is vocational school, there's community college, there's four-year colleges, and there's lots of scholarship opportunities for you to take advantage of. As Nicholas said, and others have said, start early. Make sure that you use this that you've gotten today as a resource, because there's so many things in here for you. I work right now at the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, and we work with high-achieving students from low to moderate socioeconomic backgrounds. And we have students that come to us in 7th grade for a high school component that we have. But we also have people that started their journey a little later in life. And so we have an undergraduate transfer scholarship opportunity. And that's for students who have gone through community college and have realized they can do it. And so they want to go on and get their bachelor's degree. And so we help them do that if they get accepted into our program. And we have a Graduate Arts Award as well. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get more people onto the path that you already seem to be on. You're very lucky and you're very blessed. As I said, I've been an educator for 28 years. I really don't know anything else. I love teaching when I taught, and I love working with young people. I see promise and possibility in everyone, and you, of course, are all no different. I will say that my path, my parents, my friends, my family, colleagues that have come along the way, those are the people that have influenced me. I'm not very religious, but I do feel as though I'm spiritual. And my spirit guides me in different ways. We've been friends forever, you and I. And through that friendship with Nicholas and his family, I've been able to do, I think, more than I would have without it. And so I'll tell you again, pursue your passion, prepare, and all the best of luck to you.
All right, now comes the easy part. I think what I wanted to do right now is just have the young people, you guys can just sit there. I'll just move the camera. Hopefully you're not camera shy. And just, what do we do now? One of the things that I wanted to make sure I communicated to everybody is, to you, this is, I mean, there's some pretty distinguished speakers up here. Even though it may have taken long, I want to just say thank you for just paying attention and just being here. But now what do you do with this? What does this mean for you? How do you make this work for you? Because after all, that's what it is. How do you take advantage of an opportunity? Like you guys, I know I could speak about T.C. Williams, but I'm not going to go into that. It's a land rife with opportunity. But I always make an analogy. It's like drinking water from a fire hose. I was in telecom for a while, and the president who died, I was asking him, Paulo Guidi, you know, how's the whole world looking? Oh, it's like drinking water from a fire hose. And I went back to my manager at the time, and he's like, I was telling him, wow, Paulo Guidi said it's like drinking water from the fire hose. Man, there's so much opportunity here. And my boss told me at the time, you ever try and drink water from a fire hose? It's really hard to do. So there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of water coming out the fire hose right now. How do you take advantage of it? There's no, all roads lead to Rome, so there's no do it this way, do it that way. I would suggest personally, go to God if you're spiritual, and I know you all are. Pray on it, think about it. But also, what you do here is you try and get everybody's contact information, and we'll provide that to you. And you, perhaps if there's somebody said something to you that moved you, or if you have a question, or how do I become like you, or I'm interested in doing something like that. Now you have the open door to sort of meet these individuals and talk to them. They're people just like you. Everybody has a story. Everybody has, no way is straight. Everybody, trust me, everybody has a story. Everybody has a background. I'm from the Bronx. My wife worked at Price Waterhouse, so we were both accounting majors, but that was about the extent of it for me, so my condolences. No, I'm just joking. I'm just jealous, actually. No, frustrated accounting major. Tax accounting killed me. But anyway, what I wanted to say is, how do you take advantage of an opportunity? And this is an opportunity for you. So one thing you do is like you've all been doing, you're interested. Some of the speakers had a lot to say. Some of them have even more to say. But now it's up to you. This is where the hard work comes in, where you go, you know what, my grades are okay, or my grades are whatever, but now I have a mentor. These people look just like you. They look just like you. I can't tell you what an opportunity that is. That really is something. And please don't take that for granted. People that look just like you, that were your age, going through the same trials and tribulations that you're going through. Maybe they thought they knew everything, maybe they didn't. Maybe they had it even harder than you guys have it. So how do you take advantage of your opportunities? That's always be learning, and in selling, always be selling, but always learn. You never stop learning. So what I like for you guys to do, if anybody's moved you to make a contact, tell them, my name is such and such, this is what I'm trying to do, and exploit sort of a bad word, but take advantage of the opportunity of the little door that was open for you here today. So on that note, what I'd like to do is just turn the camera off and just have you guys talk about, since this is focused on college, and we do know, and Mark and I have discussed this, college isn't for everybody. But I know you girls want to go to college because we've talked about it on the ride home, right here. So if college is not, these are the people you can ask to, what can I do? What are my desires? What are my passions? One thing that I've heard here that I would share with you young people is what everybody else has said. Be passionate about what you do. I started off as an accounting major. I hated it. I just hated it, but I stuck with it. Exactly. But I stuck with it because I didn't know anybody any better. Me and her husband, we just stuck with it, but another story. But anyway, but just go after your passion. You know, if you like what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So, you know, if you... Yeah. So just, you know, try and please take advantage. Talk to us older people. Even though it may not seem like it, we do have something to offer you. And you know what? We all want to give back. It's fun. It helps us. More than it helps you, it's a two-way street. It's like God, it's given. It's a two-way street. You get as much as you give. Probably more, actually, which is a lesson that I've had to learn a little bit. So on that note, I want to thank all the speakers. I'm just like really moved. Sorry. Anyway, let's go to what this is all about. You guys, sit down. We have a couple of young people. I want to get the girls I know that are juniors, just tell us what you're looking at. Mark went to, Mr. Moore went to St. John's. That's one of the schools he's looking at. I'm against that because I went to Big East. I can't, I just can't deal with St. John's. Anyway. But exactly. Exactly. So whatever your questions are, am I applying to the right school? What are my passions? What should I be looking to do? Now's the time to like do that. These people, I think, they're here, they're not getting paid to, it's just for the spirit of just trying to do the right thing and give back a little bit. So on that, I've talked too much. Let's get the ladies, and we'll start from this side first and have you guys introduce yourselves. Don't be shy, just say your name, what you're thinking about doing. If there's any questions, you know, where you're going to do this summer, if you have any plans or whatever. Okay.
Hi, my name's India Weaver, and I'm a junior at T.C. Williams. Right now I'm looking at about 6 schools: University of Maryland, College Park, Temple University, St. John's, Hampton, and Howard. And I'm looking also at University of Pittsburgh. My #1 school right now is probably St. John's, but the only bad part about St. John's is the price. So I'm looking into like different scholarship things about that. I'm not really sure what I want to do in college. I mean, I want to do something in business, I guess, because that's like, it seems like I'd like it, but I'm not really like sure yet. I mean, that's probably the thing that scares me the most, because a lot of my friends talk about, yeah, I want to do this in college, I want to do this, and I'm like, oh, well, I want to go to college, but I don't really know what I want to do in college. And this summer I have an internship at a government building called the OCC. So I got that through a class that I take at TC. And yeah. So.
What was your first name again?
India Weaver.
Okay.
So I guess like what I have to ask you guys is like what should I be worried that I don't know what I want to do with my life right now? Like I have no clue. Like I don't know.
That's why you get to be undecided. You get to be undecided for at least your freshman, if not your freshman and your sophomore year. And that allows you to take courses and to figure out what your passions are and what you're interested in taking. There's also, I'm big on the web and that kind of stuff. And there is a website that you can go to that asks you all kinds of questions. If you did that before, where it asks a lot of questions and sort of just tries to help you shape what your interests are. And then from there, it gives you a whole list of what potential majors you can have in college, which I'll be happy to send to Nicholas so that he can give it to you.
I'm a good writer. Math is pretty easy. I don't like science at all. And I mean, I like business, and I'm in Academy of Finance. I like that class, learning about credit and things like that. But
well, you have to do something that you like. So clearly, don't do anything in the science field.
Yes, exactly.
But try to get some, you know, experience. You're a junior now, so between this summer and next summer or whatever, maybe you can find different kinds of businesses that will let you even come in and observe. You know, you don't have to make this even before you go to college. That's like I said, the first 2 years. But the sooner you find your passion, the better it's going to be for you. So, okay?
Not being clear is okay too, because And I think the statistics are that the majority of people who go into a field, even when they graduate from college, don't stay in that field. And I was going to tell you the story of my sister. She majored in business, very clear, and then she worked for a while, but she just wasn't in her passion. And she was maybe the extreme. She tried to figure it out. She went into unemployment, she did insurance, everything. Finally, she took a course at Northern Virginia, personality psychology something, and she had to go out and talk to people. And her real field, she thought, was human resources. And that's where she is now. I put her resume in. She's the chief of HR at the CIA. And she just, that's what she should have been. And maybe, I heard you say business and writing. So, you know, when I hear things and I hear little clues, I'd go maybe to the Essence website and look for who's writing on business or the Washington Post. Just email them and say, tell me why you do that. What do you think? What does it take? Because she had to do a lot of investigation. That was the first insight. And maybe that's what you should do too, you know? Find out who's in the field, talk to them. And when she came out of that course, that's all she did was that semester was just talk to people, determine if I get a master's. And she went back and she had to get her master's in that field to succeed. But she's been like focused, no turning back ever since, and she's just been, you know, clear. That focus, that's it. And you say HR, she is the woman, you know? And I mean, she's certified and international. She's gone places where she couldn't even tell us, you know, I'm with the James Bonds and I can't tell you where I am, you know? And who would think even in that area, HR, I don't think of HR being with James Bond, you know what I'm saying? But it's amazing where things can take you. So just, you know, think out the box and ask what you see, your keywords and everything. Like she said, take it, you know, do the little studies. Like, I think those are excellent to find out. And then look for people in the field. And I'll definitely give you my friend's name and number. I know she would love to talk to you.
Okay. Don't feel bad about the fact that you don't know what you want to do in college. More than half of people heading to college don't know what they want to do. And but when they get to college, just like I'm sorry, I blanked out your name.
Oh, Cheryl.
Cheryl. You know, well, they said you'll have 2 years to make that decision, and that's how you find out what your passion is. It's like Dr. Heron will tell you. There are people who come to medical school and they want to be surgeons. Not just, they're in medical school already, but then on their first day of elective in surgery, then they see everybody being opened up and they faint. And they say, oh no, I thought I want to be a surgeon, but I can't be a surgeon anymore. So it's not different. But then they realize this is, I have to go in a different direction, still want to be a doctor. What college allows you, the first 2 years, I'm not officially a college counselor, like I've said in my presentation, but I've worked with hundreds of kids over the years. Well, like you, who come to our lab, and they just like you, they're smart, and they don't know really what they would like to do. But once they get there, then they find the opportunity to take courses, and all of that they find out. I'm speaking to you not just as a guest speaker, but also as a parent. My children were the same. And my oldest daughter went to University of Virginia. And at the end of the second year, so I said, Nika, look, we have to decide what you want to do. And she said, what do you mean? I thought you already know what I want to do. And I said, I don't, because we've not really talked about it around. And she said, I thought you want me to be a pre-med. I said, no. She said, because that's all you've always given me, find me jobs. I said, that's all I know. So, but I said, I'll give you a week. Think about what is your passion. Then after a week, she said, I'm not really sure. I want to be a lawyer, and I also want to be an economist. And I said, I know people in that area. I can talk to, I have friends at the World Bank and blah, blah, blah. So it turned out that she could actually merge the two of them. So she graduated from University of Virginia in economics, and then went to University of Michigan Law School. And she's a very successful lawyer. So, but she didn't know exactly what she was going to do. And but that's how, and my children, all of them, that's how they say. I said, first of all, by going to college, you are trying. So that's all we are asking for you. You are trying. You are doing your best. You are putting your hard work. Figuring out what you're going to do, then your passion, you'll find your passion while you're there. So whether it's in accounting or law or name it, engineering, name it. So, but that's how you do it. So don't feel, but more than half of the kids heading to college these days. Also, a lot of kids like to talk big. So, and it's psychological warfare or psychological bullying, I call it. So they say, well, and you get that at every stage. So when they talk big and say, I know what I want to do. They're in high school already. I want to be a neurosurgeon, which is fine. They may go after that, but many of them actually don't really know what they want to do, like you, but they mask it. But you don't have to worry about it. So take all the courses, look at all the opportunities that are given to you, and don't ever allow any opportunity to go by without actually that come your way, without exploring them. That's how you find out. And a lot of the things, just like I said to you, I wanted to be an agricultural chemist. Then I found out that should be the pesticides. So that's not what I want to do. That's how I found out. So that's my advice to you. So go ahead and choose, but in your choice of schools, this I'll tell you, in terms of where you want to go, you have to go to a school where you feel at home. That's very important. I'm saying this of experience over the years. No matter how no matter how smart you are, if Duke is not, if you visited Duke and you don't feel that you feel at home there, don't even consider it. Because if you don't feel at home where you're going, you will never do well, no matter how smart you are. That much I'll tell you. So if St. John's, you've been to St. John's and you feel, oh yeah, I can feel comfortable here, and or you've been to Howard or whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to inner yourself, don't deny it to yourself. You have to feel at home there. If you don't feel at home there, you'll never do well. It's harsh. It's a harsh advice, but it's true and practical.
I'll give a little example. In my situation, I had a daughter, and she worked with me in my office as she was, and so she thought that it was going to require her to become a doctor because that was my number one wish for her to take over me. But I didn't do that for her. I said, I want you to do what you want to do. And she was happy to have that relief off. And so I told her that get as much experience as you can in whatever areas you like as soon as possible, and see if you have to have a passion. So she went and studied business and went major international business and passed with honors. And it's far away from medicine. The point being is that you need to truly enjoy what you're doing, or else you won't work hard at it. And if you don't know, then get exposure to as many different fields, part-time job or over the summertime, or you have to get some exposure to know. But no, you won't know at this young age for sure. Okay, but just seek it. And, what are your strengths also?
My name is David Taylor. I go to TCU as well. I'm 17, junior. And I've narrowed down to like 2 colleges, William & Mary and Liberty University, which is in Lynchburg, Virginia. Not a lot of people have heard of it, but it's actually a Christian college. And I'm planning to go visit this summer. My friend really likes that school. He says it's really, really awesome. I looked at it on the web as well, so I'm pretty interested. And I'm like 85% sure that I want to study, major in kind of psychology counseling area, but I'm not a huge fan of staying in school for like an extra 4 years. But I do like talking and helping like teenagers and different kids as well, because my ultimate goal is to make like a summer camp, like a self-esteem summer camp for teens, and just teach them that they don't have to have a 9-to-5 job their whole life, which is what school teaches us to do, and basically just like take orders from the higher person. They can be that higher person and just own their own stuff like that. So that's kind of what I want to do. But yeah.
A lot about the field of psychology. I have a friend who is I think her major was social therapist. And I know she had to get her master's, and she used to, during her master's, children that they were preparing for court, maybe they had been, attacked by a parent or whatever. I'd like to give you her name and number. She works for Fairfax County, and I think she would be a good resource. I don't know that you can do anything, but it's not my field in psychology without a master's. I've always heard that you have to have a master's, but she can tell you. And I think, you're very clear on what you want to do, so that's very good.
In the work that I did as an educational advisor at the Jack Kent Cook Foundation, one of the things was being a college counselor to the high school seniors. And we encourage them to apply to at least 5 schools. And it's only because there are many more people applying to colleges. And there are so many colleges out here, but for some reason, the concentration is with a select, a finite number. And so you want to have as much choice as possible. As I always tell my sons, there's no choice in one.
You say that when you visit, are you staying there?
No.
Because I say that because the way I fell in love with Virginia Tech, they had a Black weekend for students, and I stayed there. I went to the parties. I got thrown out of a car in the middle of the street. I was like, I love it, And I know they still have that program, and that's really how sometimes we get a lot of students, because Blacksburg is not for everybody, for sure. But if you haven't stayed there and really, taken in the college life, because I found when I just visited, I only could ask a question on campus. And I'd only ask one question. Can you tell me where this business is? I had a building is, I had a map, but I wanted to see, is somebody going to help me? And the 25,000 students, I'm sorry, your child went to UVA, but they were like, it's over there, And Virginia Tech was a lot larger, and they would say, let me take you to it. And that made the difference for me. I just wanted to see, is somebody going to help me as big as it is and in the numbers? Am I significant?
Well, my name is Morgan Latayad, and I'm a junior at T.C. Williams High School. And right now I'm looking at, my top 2 college choices right now are University of North Carolina and University of Virginia. Of course, that's not the only schools I'm going to apply to, but those are the ones that I really like right now. I guess my passion is math and science. I'm not really entirely sure about what major I would choose to go into, but I guess that's okay. I like engineering and possibly pharmacy, and I guess biomedical engineering, like things that are kind of medically related, but not a doctor, because I don't want to be a doctor. And this summer, I'm going to start applying to college, applying for scholarships too, and maybe do some research, because I guess I need a little bit of experience before I go to college. But yeah.
Any questions?
Not really.
Okay.
I only know a lot of people, so I know my 4th grade teacher's daughter majored in biomedical engineering, and she's local. And I can get the name and number for her. She has a job and she loves it. She went to Brown University. I don't know if they have a special program. I just know that's where she went. And I used to babysit her, and that's all I know right now. And I know she's had the same job since she's been out of college and is a biomedical engineer. So.
I haven't looked at really any colleges yet. I haven't really gotten too involved in that. And I probably want to major in something that has to involve with money, like a financial advisor or a tax attorney.
What's your name? What are you thinking about? You're a junior, right?
Sophomore.
Oh, sophomore. Okay.
11 moves on. Thinking about being an engineer for any company, really. And going to Nova and studying for that. And doing art on the side.
Okay. Thank you.
My name's Luan Bokra, and I'm a junior. I go to T.C. Williams, and I guess my top 2 schools would probably be University of Virginia and the rival, I guess, Virginia Tech.
Oh, thank goodness you scared me for a minute.
I like science. Oh, I really like chemistry. I like biology, but I like chemistry more. I'm good in math, well, kind calculus, maybe not really, but other parts of math, like, it felt natural to me as well. And I always say I wanted to be a doctor, but mostly I just want to, like, help. Well, like, my parents are from Eritrea, and I really want to, like, go back and, like, help out. Like, it can be, like, medically or, like teaching. I don't know, I just want to help, because when I went there, like, it touched me. Like, my parents had, like, a hard time and everything, and that I don't want those kids to, like, their parents I know are having hard times too, like my aunts and uncles. And I just want to help out. I like to help out. So that's my passion, to help out.
I helped in establishing the medical school there. You know, in Eritrea now they have a medical school.
Yeah.
And the person who has been in the vanguard, in the forefront of it, is a guy by the name of Haley Mesgabi.
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so see, and even though he's from Eritrea, and he went to high school in Adigra, in Ethiopia. I've been to his hometown too, and all that. But no matter what you want to do, in all honesty, no matter what you want to do, whether it's in medicine or in any health-related area, the sky is your limit. As I've always said to young people, first of all, prepare yourself first. And prepare yourself when you have to go to college, study hard, then find what your passion is. I must also tell you about, since you know Dr. Mesgabi, that his daughter, who happened, unfortunately, to have gone to UVA.
Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Also, was in the same situation, just like any of you. And she said, well, I want to do something, and blah, blah, blah. Well, she actually took, after she graduated from UVA, went to work in Eritrea for about a year or two. And then she came back. Then she said, I think I'll be better off. Now I find my passion. It's law. You know, so she went back to law school. And in her way, just like you are saying, she wanted to just help Eritrea. And she figured that there's legal expertise needed in sorting out a lot of the social issues in Eritrea. And so she found her passion. So it should be the same thing for you. And so don't worry about eventually what you are going to do, but take it step by step. Prepare yourself, study hard in college, explore all the opportunities, travel, talk to people, join student organizations. There are a lot of many colleges where they will have psychology student association, where they talk about they invite experts. There may be social work student organization, no matter what, law school organization. So explore all of them, because they'll bring in people with experience to talk to you. And then you can ask them questions in engineering, maybe. They do all of that. So you are doing the right thing, step by step.
My name is Taylor. I'm 17 and I'm a junior at Hayfield. I have 5 colleges that I want to go to. I'm not sure which one is my number one yet, but I'm thinking about Howard and Bowie State University and VCU. My passions, I really like fashion and I really like art. I've been drawing since I was 3 years old, so that's always been an interest of mine. I love taking classes, I love reading books on it. I always want to know like how I can get better at it. So I had originally wanted to go to art school, but I really like fashion. I like fashion merchandising. The industry, how it's always growing and changing, and it's never boring to me. So that's what I want to do.
There was a young man, and I'm blanking out on his name now. He lives here in Northern Virginia. And when he came around, when I was doing the tutoring, and he was very good his interest was in art. He did a lot of drawings. And then he realized that it was in the fashion industry. But to cut a long story short, he found his passion. He didn't go to a 4-year college. He took a year off after high school, worked at, Macy was not there at that time, it was Hecht, the hair company, and Woody's. For those of us who are old, you know. So, and And that's where he did his merchandise training. Then after that, he went to design school in New York for 2 years. Well, all I can tell you is that he's very, very successful. I know he lives around here. I have to ask my younger daughter for his name and telephone. I do run into him on and off at different times, and but he's done very well. The other person, again, I don't need to tell the story. Also, that's what their passion was. And as long as you find your passion and you work hard at it and you are successful at it, that is going to give you a lifetime of joy and satisfaction.
From my church, her daughter is a buyer for Macy's. But then she went back, and I think just recently, she loved it, but she was in fashion, and she's now working her master's in interior design. So that might be another area as you can still express yourself because of the drawing. And I've worked with interior designer for my home. I mean, it took it to another level that I could not have. So, you know, something else to think about. I would never have thought about the fashion merchandising and moving into interior design, but I know that's what she did, and I can get that for you.